All right, guys. Now we're going to talk about ways to contact the sellers. Now, the ways to contact the sellers, there's basically three basic ways of contacting the sellers. That's going to be your main ways to do it. And remember that scale we were talking about earlier, as far as the money to time scale. There's, depending on wherever you land on that scale, this is how there's a way to contact the sellers that fits that scale perfectly. Okay. So one of the first ways is mailers. So that is on the 5. That's if you have money but don't have a lot of time. Mailers is a great way to do it. So if you have a list, if you're pulling it through, whether it's the people driving for dollars for you, you can send mailers to them. You want to make sure that when you send mailers, and we'll go more information on this on each and every one. We want to be very distinct and unique on each of them. Others, cold calling. So cold calling, it doesn't really cost a ton other than gathering the phone numbers. So gathering the phone numbers will cost some money if you do it automated, unless you want to do one by one. That does take a lot extra time. But so if you're about the middle, if you're about a 3 as far as like the scale, cold calling would be great. So you spend a little money on getting the list and spending a little money on getting the phone numbers. And then you spend a few hours calling, and it's going to be great as far as getting connection. Because people are going to respond a lot more to a phone call than they would a mailer. And by the way, in a side note, if you do send a mailer, you need to send at least 7 mailers to that one person over the course of several months. Because like I said before, people want to have to see the same advertisement at least 7 times before they take action on average. And then by far the most effective way is door knocking. But it takes the most time. So door knocking is probably 1.5 on the scale, because you do have to spend money on the gas. But as far as like driving to the person's house and knocking on the door, and also it kind of works backwards as far as effectiveness as well. The most effective way to actually get a yes with the sellers is knocking on the door. Because I'll tell you what, it's a lot harder for people to tell me no if I'm right there in front of the face. Don't get me wrong. I get a lot of people telling me no when I'm in front of their face. But it doesn't make it a big... it's harder for them to tell me no. If I'm talking and closing the door, it's supposed to just hanging up or just ignoring a letter. So it's by far... And you can actually prove to them that you're a real person. You're not trying to scam them. A lot of times when we get phone calls and mails, it's like, okay, where's this coming? Are you from India? You know what I mean? Or different, they of the different scamming facilities, things like that. So that they people are automatically skeptical. But if I'm a real person, I'm talking to them, it makes a big difference. So door knocking by far is very effective. Cold calling is not as effective, but still good. And mailers isn't as effective, but it takes less time, but just costs more. A return rate on mailers is like 2%. And if you have a mailing campaign where 2% of people call you back, it's actually a really good mailing campaign. So that's a good way to go. All right, so phone numbers, we already did that. That's for past modular. Now, on the phone, I'm going to give you guys some tricks on what to say on the phone. Okay, so we're talking about the phone here. When you're talking to someone on the phone, all right, a potential motivated seller, you want to remember what your goals are. Now, for me, when I call someone on the phone, my goal is not for them to say, yes, I want to sell my house at X price. Yeah, I want to sell my house at cheap, here it is. Just take my house. That's not my goal. My goal is to get a one-on-one FaceTime meeting. That's my only goal. I'm not trying to convince them of anything else. I'm not trying to do anything else other than I want to have them say yes to a one-on-one FaceTime meeting. No commitments for them. I'm asking them, would they be open to opportunity, or would they be open to have a conversation with me face to face? That's my goal, right? So keeping that in mind, it's very easy to kind of structure your script. And now let me back up a little bit, just a bit here, guys. A lot of people, they know cold calling is a way to get some deals. They have a list. They've gone through the drove for dollars. They pull the county records. They got all the divorces. They got all the probates. Now they have a list, and okay, I just got to call. But guess what happens? They get really nervous because they don't know what to say. And so they don't make any phone calls. One key to success in this is to understand and accept that your first calls will suck. You will be horrible. I don't care, even if you are on the phones for a living. Your first couple calls are not going to be that great. And you have to be okay with that. If you're not okay with that, close up the computer right now, pack up, and just find something else to do with your life. You have to accept that you're not going to be perfect the first time. You have to accept that. That's what people's the biggest. They get into analysis paralysis. They don't take any action because they have to have the right script. They have to have I have to make sure I know what to say. I know to have the rebuttals. I have to have all the stuff here. You don't need that. You just need to pick up the phone and say, do you want to sell your house? Yes or no? Okay. That's it. It's really that simple. Sure, there's more tactical ways of talking to people. Yes, but you'll learn that as you go. You'll figure out what works for you. And I'll give you some lines and some scripts here. But in reality, guys, I don't want to give you a lot of information as far as what I say and how I say it. One, because I don't want you to get caught up. I don't want you to get wrapped around the gears. I don't want you to get wrapped around the whole, like, what I have to say, what's the right way to say it. I got to practice it. No, just start making the damn calls. Make the calls. That's it. I taught you how to find the list for free, how to find the phone numbers for free. There's no excuses. It's just make the damn calls. Do you want to sell your house or no? No? Okay. Then move on to the next one. Oh, you do? Let's have a conversation. So this is what I say. And this is kind of how I started the conversation. Okay? Once you get started, then everything else seems to be pretty easy after that. Okay? So what I say when I call someone to pick up, hello, like, oh, hi, my name is Jared. Me and my wife are looking to buy a house in your area. Have you ever thought about selling? And then I shut up. And then say, well, yeah, I have. Oh, great. Why? Or they say, oh, no, I haven't actually. Oh, really? Why not? And then it opens the conversation. Open-ended question. And then they'll start having a conversation. And I just ask them, are you willing to have a conversation with me face to face? So I can take a look at your property and give you an offer. That's it. Right? It doesn't need to be complicated. That's why I'm not going to give you a lot of scripts. Because you're going to get, a lot of people will fall into the trap. It's a trap of overanalysis. Don't do that. Okay? Now, I'm beating a dead horse here. All right, so when leaving a message, I'm going to give you, this message is beautiful. This message is gold. It was taught to me by one of my mentors, and when I left the message without using this format, I've done it with, and it's been dramatically different. The amount of people that call me back has been like insanely good with using this style of message. Okay, so this is what I say. Hello, my name is your name, Jared. I'm calling about your property address, right? Whatever the address is. My phone number is blank. There has been, and then I hang up. So let me go over it again. Hi, my name is Jared. I'm calling about your property, and my phone number is. There has been a. Then I hang up. How many times has a phone call has phone calls dropped? Quite a bit, right? Nowadays, it doesn't quite drop quite as often, but it's not uncommon for phone calls to be in a rough area and this signal gets disconnected. Very common. So they're not going to think anything of this. They're going to think, oh crap. So they have my name, they have the address we're calling about, they have my phone number, and something about their property. So they're going to call. I had people call me back in panics before. It's hilarious. Like, what's going on with my property? Oh, you got my message. Great. Yeah, but it cut off. I didn't hear what you said. Oh, there's been an interest in your property. That's what I was calling about. There's been an interest in your property. That's what I was asking. So we're being 100% truthful. And now you have that conversation. And then you say the same thing I just said. Oh yeah, me and my wife are looking to buy a house in your area. Have you ever thought about selling? It's literally that simple, guys. You don't overthink it. If you're going to use a dialer, there's plenty of dialers out there. I highly recommend using dialers. So the dialers, it's a program where you can actually dial like 100 numbers at once. Well, not at once, within an hour, I should say. So you're dialing multiple lines at once. It's really effective. I use Mojo Dialer. I'm not affiliated with Mojo at all, but I highly recommend Mojo Dialer if you're going to use a dialer. I personally use it. It has a skip trace function. You pay like $40 extra to get an unlimited skip trace function. So that's really great. So if you're going to use dialer, use any one you want. I recommend Mojo, but that's the one I use, but you can do whatever you want, right? Okay. We're going on for the next we're going to keep on going here. So we're going to talk about knocking on doors. So when you're knocking on doors, like I said, that's the most effective way to actually get a yes, right? So what's your goal of knocking on doors? You want to either have that conversation right then and there if you can, or to set up a follow-up an appointment. So maybe Because you don't have to analyze every single house before you knock on it, before you call on it. It's a waste of time. You want to get their level of engagement, if they're willing to have a conversation, then do your deal analysis, then you have that conversation with them. So with knocking on doors, calling people, you mostly just want to get that first appointment set up. So even knocking on doors, like, I'll come back later tonight, or call back tomorrow, or come back tomorrow when you're all the decision makers are there. So knocking on doors, there's something that body language is very important. When I'm talking to someone, when I'm knocking on the door, I don't square up. I don't do shoulder to shoulder. So if my shoulders are facing their shoulders, I want to be at an angle. So my feet are not facing their feet. It's facing out to the right or left one way or another. So I'm at an angle while they're talking to me. So subconsciously, it gives them so I'm not a threat. I'm leaving an escape route for them mentally. So they're more comfortable with me. Okay? So body language is very important. I usually, when they answer the door, make sure that you're not looking at the door or waiting for them to answer, like you're ready to pounce on them. I usually turn around and I look out and about. And so when they open the door, they see my back. And so it's almost like I'm less threatening to them. I'm not ready to pounce on them. I'm like, oh, hey, sorry, didn't see you there. It's more of a casual. And this is all messages sent through the body language through messages, right? You want to be smiling. You don't want to be too door salesy, right? But you just want to be real and have that type of body language. So there's two main approaches when you're talking to someone on a door, and you can use these same approaches when you're making phone calls too. So the most of my personal there's two approaches: the front door approach and the back door approach. So the front door approach is very similar to how I make phone calls. It's not, and when I say front door and back door, that's not saying you're knocking on the front door and knocking on the back door. That's not it. But the front door approach is more direct. Like, I'm here because I want to buy your house, right? So like, you knock on the door, they open the door and say, hey, Mr. Seller or Joe Blow, whatever, me and my wife are looking to buy a property in your area. Have you ever thought, we love this house. Have you ever thought about selling? I always say me and my wife because it sounds more, I don't sound like as a big company. I don't sound too threatening. I'm just a guy trying to buy someone's house. I sound more homely, a family guy. So if you don't have a spouse, like me and my husband or whatever, it's like me and my family are looking to buy a house in this area. Maybe you're a family of one. It's still a family, But the front door approach is it's very simple, straight, right? That's why it's front door. Like you're not going about it. You're just saying this one thing. Like, I want to buy your house. Do you want to sell? No? Why not? You do? Why? And then have the conversation. Great. Can I come back tonight and have a conversation with everyone, with all the decision makers, with your wife and husband or whatever, and set that appointment. And whenever you do set the appointment for anything, make sure that all the decision makers are there. You don't I'll be here, but I can talk to you. But I really would rather have you both there. You'll be much more effective, trust me. Now, the backdoor approach, that's going about it in kind of like a sly way. So when people knock on people's doors, they kind of have the defenses, their shields up automatically, right? They're already concerned. They're already worried about what's this guy trying to sell, what's he trying to take away from me. Their defenses are up like full gear. So when I knock on someone's door, this is my personal preference. When I tell them, oh, hey, sorry to bother you. My name is Jared. I'm with Challenge Soft. We're actually a company that buys houses, and we're actually going to buy 5 houses in this neighborhood. And so what we do is we always like to get to know the neighborhood, see if it's worth our time and investment. And our best way to do that is actually to talk to the neighbors. Do you got a second to help us out? And so what is that? So I'm not trying to get anything from them. I'm going to buy houses in the neighborhood. I'm not buying their house as far as they're concerned. I'm just asking for help. And I'm going to fix up the houses in the neighborhood. So you can even throw in we buy the houses that need repair, fix them up, and sell them higher price, raises the value for all the houses in the neighborhood. You can even throw that in there as well. So now them talking to you is actually helping themselves. And so I'll start asking questions. And it's very rare when someone tells me, oh, no, I don't have time. It's most times oh, sure, what's up, man? What questions do you have? It's rare when they tell me no. So I'll ask them, oh, how long have you lived here? Oh, yeah, I've been in this neighborhood for 10 years. And a lot of times they'll tell you, during this conversation, they'll tell you stuff about your neighbors. So I've actually had, during while door knocking, I've had oh, yeah, so-so's lived here for 20 years, or her husband just passed away or whatever. And so, or they're just getting divorced across the street. Okay, now I know I'm going to knock to the person across the street because I got divorced. So I knocked on the door for one lead, but now they gave me another lead, even though without them knowing, right? Because the people that are getting divorced, they might want to sell their property. Oh yeah, okay. And so, how long have you been in this property? How's the neighborhood? I mean, and they'll tell you, they'll start dishing out gossip like crazy. Like I was very surprised when the first time I was knocking doors, how much gossip I got. It was pretty and now we've built a rapport. Now I'm not some dude, I'm some guy that we're actually having a conversation with. Like some guy we just met, but we're having a good conversation. There's a lot of rapport being built up just by me asking questions about the neighborhood, how they like it here, how they like their house, all that stuff. So we're building a lot of rapport. And then I say, you know what? So the houses that we buy are usually, now if I'm knocking the door because they're going through divorce, or I'm knocking on maybe through notice of default, they're going through foreclosure. What I'll say is, so using the foreclosure as an example, I'll say, yeah, man, yeah, we buy houses that people going through a lot of tough situations. Like, did you know there's actually 5 people in this neighborhood going through foreclosure right now? Oh, so now in their head, they're like, oh, really? I'm going through foreclosure and I'm not the only one? Because you're going through tough times, you kind of feel like you're the only one going through this hard times like this. Even though, like, consciously you know that, but you just feel that way. You feel like you're the only one going through this tough times. I'm getting divorced, I'm going through troubles, whatever, bankruptcy, and I'm the one, So now, like, okay, there's other people that's close to me, people I might know, might be going through the same thing. Like, okay, cool. And then I tell them how I helped them. I was like, oh yeah, 5 people in this neighborhood are going through foreclosure. Did you know that? Yeah. Well, what we do, we buy the property from them because otherwise they would lose the house. Their credit is probably ruined, and then once they their credits can be ruined, potentially can be ruined, and I can buy their house, stop the foreclosure, and they walk away with money. So instead of them losing all this stuff, they're actually walk away with money. And I'm like, oh yeah. So like in their head, like, oh, that's like perfect scenario for me. Like then I ask them, you don't know anyone that's in a situation like that, do you? And a lot of times they'll tell you, oh, well, actually, I might be interested in talking to you about that. So now it's not me asking them to buy their house. It's like them coming to me about them offering to buy my house or sell their house. It's a complete turnaround of how you approach this situation. So that's the backdoor approach. That's going about it a whole different way. It's just like you're asking them for help, and then you kind of go around the back way to get to see if they want to see about selling. That's by far one of my favorite ways. While I'm door knocking. All right, mailers. This is the last thing. We're going to finish this modular here. So with mailers, it's important to have them stand out. So this is an actual mailer. 2 mailers that I sent out. They got returned because the return address. It happens. You want it to stand out. Okay. It needs to be. I love to put pictures of their house. So the mailer I send out, this house right here, that's where I sent the mailer to, or send it to the mailer address. Same with this one up here. There's 2 different mailers, 2 different houses. Right? So it stands out. And I put a picture of me and my wife on there. So it's not, I'm not some random, I'm sure you guys all have gotten mailers before if you own a house. You've probably gotten those yellow cards or the postcards like, hey, you want to buy your house? And it just matches with everything else, and that kind of goes in a pile. But if you put a mailer that stands out, that looks different, man, that is one heck of a difference, isn't it? That's one heck of a difference. So, I've actually had people call me back from the mailers, and literally the original intention was to tell me how nice the mailer was. Like literally, it's been great. You need to find a way to repeat the process with ease, right? Because like I said, mailers, you want to send at least 7 mailers. I send a mailer once every 3 weeks to an address when I'm targeting it. And then I stop it after 7. After that, it's kind of a lost cause, at least for the next couple of months. So I'll send a mailer to a house every 3 weeks, and it might be the same mailer, maybe a little different. Maybe I'll just do a different picture or something along those lines. Like, hey, George, can I buy your house? Whatever it may be, right? Whatever you want to do. So mailers is a very important thing. Make sure you find some sort of function. There's programs out there. There's apps. Like my app, for example, that I've created actually sends out this mailer that we're looking at right now. My app actually sends out this exact mailer. Right? And get clear to the point. Like, hey, do you have a vacant house facing foreclosure, need repairs? No problem. Let me buy your house. I can buy your house. I can take this problem off your hands. Or, hey, George, can I buy your house? Call me. Text me this address. Simple, right? And show you're a real person. That's why I like to put my picture on there, my face. I always like to put my picture of my wife because she's much more attractive than me. And people do like to deal with attractive people. So, I mean, we can't control that too much. But if you have options like that, then do it. Okay, so that's it for this modular. Okay, I appreciate you guys' time. You're awesome. And one more module after this one.